اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. عن فاطمة الزهراء عليه السلام بنت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله قال سمعت فاطمة عنها قالت دخل علي برسول الله في بعض الأيام فقال السلام عليك يا فاطمة فقلت عليك السلام. قال إني أجد في بدني ضعفا فقلت له أعوذك بالله أعبتاه من الضعف. فقال يا فاطمة ائتني بالكساء اليماني فغتيني به فأتيته بالكساء اليماني فغتيته به وزلت أنظر عليه وإذا وجهه يتلألأ كأنه البدر في الليلة تمامه وكماله.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
وما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولد الحسن عليه السلام قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أماه. فقلت وعليك السلام يا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي. فقال يا أماه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله. فقلت نعم إن جدك تحت الكساء. فأقبل حسن نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جداه يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أدخل معك تحت الكساء. فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا صاحب العدي قد أذنت لك فدخل ما تحت الكساء. فما كانت إلا سعدا وإذا بولد الحسين عليه السلام قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أماه. فقلت وعليك السلام يا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي. فقال لي يا أماه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله. فقلت نعم إن جدك وأخاك تحت الكساء. فدنا الحسين نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جداه والسلام عليك يا من اختاره الله أتعذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء. فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا شافع أمتي قد أذنت لك فدخل معهما تحت الكساء. فأكمل عند ذلك أبو الحسن علي بن أبي طالب قال السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله. فقلت وعليك السلام يا أبا الحسن ويا أمير المؤمنين. فقال يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة أخي وابن عم رسول الله. فقلت نعم وهو مع ولديك تحت الكساء. فأقبل علي نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء. قال وعليك السلام يا أخي ومسيح الخليفة وصحب اللباء قد أذنت لك. فدخل علي تحت الكساء. ثم أتيت نحو الكساء وقلت السلام عليك يا عبداه يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء. قال وعليك السلام يا بنتي ويا بضعتي قد أذنت لك. فدخلت تحت الكساء. فلما اكتملنا جميعا تحت الكساء أخذ برسول الله بطرف الكساء وما بيده يمنع إلى السماء وقال اللهم إن هؤلاء أهل البيت وخاصة وحامتي لحمهم لحمي ودمعهم دمي يؤلمني ما يؤلمهم ويحزنني ما يحزنه أن حرب لمن حاربهم وسلم لمن سالمهم وعدو لمن ناداهم ومحب لمن أحبهم إنهم مني وعلى منهم فاجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك علي وعليهم وعذب عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
فقال الله عز وجل يا ملائكة ويا سكان السماوات إني ما خلقت السماء مبنيا ولا أرضا مدهيا ولا قمر منيرا ولا شمس مذيا ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلك يسري إلا في محبة هؤلاء الخمسة الذين هم تحت الكساء. فقال أمين جبرائيل يا ربي ومن تحت الكساء؟ فقال عز وجل هم أهل البيت النبوة ومعادن الرسالة هم فاطمة وأبوها وبالها وبنوها.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
فقال جبرائيل يا ربي أتعزن لي أن أحبت إلى الأرض نكون معهم سادسا؟ فقال الله نعم قد أذنت لك فحبت الأمين جبرائيل وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله علي العال يقولك السلام ويخصك بالتحيات والإكرام ويقول لك وعزتي وجلالي إني ما خلقت السماء مبنيا ولا أرض منهيا ولا قمر منيرا ولا شمس منيا ولا فلك يدور ولا بحر يجري ولا فلك يسري إلا لأجلكم ومحبتكم وقد أذن لي أن أدخل معكم فأذن لي يا رسول الله. فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله عليك السلام يا أمين وهي الله إنهم نعم قد أذنت لك. فدخل جبرائيل معنا تحت الكساء فقال لي إن الله قد أوحي عليكم يقول إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
فقال علي أبي يا رسول الله أخبرني ما لجلوسنا هذا تحت الكساء من فضل عند الله. فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله والذي بعثني بالحق النبي واصطفاني بالرسالة النجية ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شية ومحبين إلا ونزلت عليهم الرحمة وحفت بهم ملائكة واستغفرت لهم إلا أن يتبركوا. فقال علي عليه السلام إذا والله فزنا وفاز شيتنا ورب الكعبة. فقال أبي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله يا علي والذي بعثني بالحق النبي واصطفاني من رسالة النجية ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شية ومحبين وفيهم محموم إلا وفرج الله عما ولا مهموم إلا وكشف الله عما ولا تعلق الحاجات إلا وكذا الله حاجاته. فقال علي عليه السلام إذا والله فزنا وسئدنا وكذلك شيتنا فوز وسئد في الدنيا والآخرة ورب الكعبة.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
ما شاء الله
ما شاء الله جزاك الله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
بات سے محسوس کرو کیا ہے سکینہ، اس بات سے محسوس کرو کیا ہے سکینہ، عباس کے ہونٹوں کا کسیدہ ہے سکینہ، اس بات سے محسوس کرو کیا ہے سکینہ، آئینہ زہرا میں جو دیکھا تیرا بچپن، آئینہ زہرا میں جو دیکھا تیرا بچپن، ہر عکس پکارا کہ تو زہرا ہے سکینہ، اس بات سے محسوس کرو کیا ہے سکینہ، پر محمد والی محمد کا انتر
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
اب ایک نوحہ ماں کربلا دیا ماں کربلا دیا پتراں دیا لاشاں تے ٹکڑے رہیاں دبدیاں وچ صحرا، کربلا دیا صبر دے مالک نوں سن لینا کہ اذن چیتے بیٹھے، میں صبر دی سانجھ چ اکبر دے سینے چو سانگ ہٹاواں، کربلا دیا آنکھیں ماں قاسم دی ماتے احسان کری، دیر تئی گھڑ درمی تیرے ٹکڑے مطابق پتنیاں نے میرے ویر حسین بساواں، کربلا دیا کربلا دیا بین کلثوم داسی لال من کے غازی، تینوں میں پا لیا سی، میرے سر دی چادر بھی لکھ گئی جد لگتیاں تیری کربلا دیا پر محمد والی محمد صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. ماشاءاللہ.
حسن کرسی رکھی کیا؟
برخوشنودی امام زمانہ بزرگتر صلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Today we are here to commemorate the Shahadat of Rasul Huda. For all those people, for many years, it it is not being said from the member that Rasulullah Khuda was shaheed. Two Aghas are sitting here, alhamdulillah. I think if we read Quran ایک مکمل نوحہ ہے رسول کہ how people mistreated him, how they spoke against him, how he was stuck with the منافقون تاکہ اللہ نے سورۃ منافقین ان کے لیے اتاری. So when he was asking for a pen to write a deed, he was not given a pen. So he was one of the most Muslim person or Nabi that ever passed away. And unfortunately now what we have is that he was killed. Agha is gonna probably inshallah speak on the life of the Prophet and how he passed away or how he was martyred. لیکن رسول خدا کے لیے ہم نعت کے کچھ اشعار ہیں جسٹ فار دا ہدیہ. اس کے بعد میں مولانا سے درخواست کروں گا کہ وہ ممبر پہ آئیں. کوئی سلیقہ ہے آرزو کا نہ بندگی میری بندگی ہے. کوئی سلیقہ نہ آرزو کا نہ بندگی میری بندگی ہے. یہ سب تمہارا کرم ہے آقا کہ بات اب تک بنی ہوئی ہے. کوئی سلیقہ کسی کا احسان کیوں اٹھائیں, کسی کو حالات کیوں بتائیں, کسی کو حالات کیوں بتائیں. تمہیں سے مانگا ہے تم ہی دو گے, تمہارے در سے لو لگی ہے. یہ سب تمہارا کرم ہے آقا. عطا کیا مجھ کو درد الفت, کہاں تھی یہ پر خطا کی قسمت, کہاں تھی یہ پر خطا کی قسمت. میں اس کرم کے کہاں تھا قابل, حضور کی بندہ پروری ہے. یہ سب تمہارا کرم ہے آقا. تجلیوں کے کفیل تم ہو, مراد قلب خلیل تم ہو, مراد قلب خلیل تم ہو. خدا کی روشن دلیل تم ہو, یہ سب تمہاری ہی روشنی ہے. یہ سب تمہارا کرم ہے آقا. بشیر کہیے نذیر کہیے, انہیں سراج المنیر کہیے, انہیں سراج المنیر کہیے.
ارے رسول اللہ یا رسول اللہ.
جو سر بسر ہے کلام ربی, وہ میرے آقا کی زندگی ہے. یہ سب تمہارا کرم ہے آقا. عمل کی میرے اساس کیا ہے, بجز ندامت کے پاس کیا ہے, بجز ندامت کے پاس کیا ہے. رہے سلامت تمہاری نسبت، میرا تو ایک آسرا یہی ہے، یہ سب تمہارا کرم ہے آقا، کہ بات اب تک بنی ہوئی ہے۔ پر محمد وآل محمد صلی اللہ
اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد۔
رات کے دو چار اور شعر ہیں۔ کاش میں دور پیمبر میں اٹھایا جاتا، کاش میں دور پیمبر میں اٹھایا جاتا، کاش میں دور پیمبر میں اٹھایا جاتا، باخدا قدموں میں سرکار کی پایا جاتا، باخدا قدموں میں سرکار کی پایا جاتا، ساتھ سرکار کے غزوات میں شامل ہوتا، ساتھ سرکار کے غزوات میں شامل ہوتا، ان کی نصرت میں لہو میرا بہایا جاتا، ان کی نصرت میں لہو میرا بہایا جاتا، ریت کے ذروں میں شامل ریت کے ذروں میں اللہ بدل دیتا مجھے، پھر مجھے راہ محمد میں بچھایا جاتا، خاک ہو جاتا میں سرکار کے قدموں کے تلے، خاک ہو جاتا میں سرکار کے قدموں کے تلے، خاک کو خاک مدینہ میں ملایا جاتا، خاک کو خاک مدینہ میں ملایا جاتا، ان کے روزے کے در و بام سجانے کے لیے، ان کے روزے کے در و بام سجانے کے لیے، راہدانوں میں میری آنکھوں کو لگایا جاتا، کاش میں دور پیمبر میں اٹھایا جاتا، کاش اے کاش میں ہوتا کوئی ایسی لکڑی، کاش میں ہوتا کوئی ایسی لکڑی، جس کو سرکار کے منبر میں لگایا جاتا، جاتا کاش میں دور پیمبر میں اٹھایا جاتا پر محمد و آل محمد بلند تر صلوات
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
بڑے شکر گزار ہیں to Sheikh Naim for being here for Salat today and thank you for all of your help and Sheikh Shafiq Huda who's been very kind that he's among us and he attended the Julus as well. I'm going to request Sheikh Shafiq Huda to please come and take the member and start today's majlis. پر خوشنودی امام زمانہ بلند تر صلوات
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل، نعم المولى ونعم النصير. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين خالق السماوات والأرض إلها واحدا أحدا صمدا لم يتخذ صاحبة ولا ولدا والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين رحمة للعالمين طه وياسين بالقاسم محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين المنتجبين ورحمة الله على محبيهم ولعنة الله على أعدائهم وقاتليهم وغاصب حقوق حقهم ومنكر فضائلهم أجمعين من يومنا هذا إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتبارك في كتابه الحكيم وفرقانه المجيد وقوله الحق. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وما أرسلناك إلا مبشرا ونذيرا. صلوات الله.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Respected sisters and brothers, my youngsters, my elders, Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. أعظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمصابنا أبا عبد الله الحسين عليه السلام. We ask Allah Ta'ala to accept our azadari for the sake of Abu Abdullah that we have gathered to hear for during these days of Ashra Zainabiyya or the Khamasa Zainabiyya, the days that are dedicated to Hazrat Zainab Kubra. And as we begin today's discussion, I want to remind us, or remind myself of a focus that Imam had laid down, that Abu Abdullah had laid down when he made the decision to leave the city of Medina Munawwara. When he made the decision to leave Madinatul Nabi, the city of the Prophet, the Imam did not take this decision lightly. The Imam did not make this decision irrationally and just at the spur of the moment. It was a very clearly thought out process, and it was based on a promise that he had made to the Holy Prophet of Islam sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When we look at our own lives, hum apni zindagi pe nazar karte hain, so one question, one conclusion arises that if we have had to migrate from one place to another, why did we migrate? ہجرت کرنے کا مقصد کیا تھا؟ جو لوگ انڈیا پاکستان سے یہاں کینیڈا آئے ہیں، جو ایران عراق سے کینیڈا آتے ہیں، یا کہ اس جگہ سے امریکہ موو ہوتے ہیں یا انگلینڈ موو ہوتے ہیں یا یورپ میں جاتے ہیں، what is the reason for their movement? People migrate because they want to go from a place that is, for example, A to A+. that might be ZZ2 better than that. You understand? So somebody migrates. Have you ever heard? Maybe you have, but under normal circumstances, if I was to tell you that I'm moving from here back to my home country, of Uganda, of East Africa, you say, oh, do you have some business over there? I said, no. Do you have some job over there? I said, no. So what do you want to move there for, Brother Shafiq? वजह क्या है? कारण दिमाग तो यानी लोग कनाडा आने चाहते हैं, तुम अफ्रीका जाने की बात कर रहे हो, पागल हो गए हो? This is the question that would arise. I'll say why. It says because we are set here financially, economically, politically, stability, everything is here. If you go there, you don't know what will happen. You don't know how the situation will be. The economy might change all of a sudden. Now, my counter question or my counterpoint to that is, here we are also suffering that. Here we also know crime rates are going up, instability is there, recession might be around the corner. I don't want to blame any prime minister or anybody, but recessions are a part of the economic sphere that we all go through. And stability, we have an election coming up, and this and that might happen, this person might come into power, that person might come into power. All this creates a degree of uncertainty. I will even say instability, but maybe not the case of instability that you might be experiencing in India or Pakistan or in Africa or in certain Asian places. But there is still instability. So you'll tell me finally, because you see there's a certain degree of mental superiority complex, that Western countries are better than Eastern countries. This is a reality. Sometimes on the mimbar, I have to say things, Allahu Akbar, it's very difficult, Sheikh, believe me. It's difficult for me to say things that everybody is thinking, but not very many people will be able to say. I'll give you an example. Some of my elders who were from the East African region, they used to say, there used to be a certain fakhr, there used to be a certain pride when they would send their children to England or to Europe for studies, or they would have certain products coming, certain biscuits would be coming, certain chocolates would be coming. ऐसे कि ये इंग्लैंड कमाल है, ये हमारे बच्चे गए हैं इंग्लैंड पढ़ने के लिए, लंदन गए पढ़ने के लिए, they're going to this university, they've gone to Europe for their studies. And the question arises, if I was to tell somebody that, oh, my friend went to Afghanistan for studies, I say, okay, well, why? The next question is, why? Yet there was a certain superiority in saying that those countries are advanced countries, are civilized countries, are advanced, and those are rich countries. We are living in poor countries, so everything there must be better than it is over here. And the reality is sometimes very different. I had a friend in Kitchener, he's marhum. One of his family members was very adamant in coming from Iran to Canada. I have to go there, I have to go there, I have to go there. And they saved up for years and years almost $250,000, $250,000. And they were deciding that now this will be, the be-all and end-all. I'll be in Canada, I'm in Jannat on earth. And alhamdulillah, I'm not saying Canada is not Jannat on earth. It is one of the bags of Jannat. It is not Jannat on earth. Anyway, so he came, and she comes here, and they opened up a pizza store, and they did this and they did that, and within 5 or 6 years, the entire $250,000 was spent. They had lost a whole bunch of money. They eventually packed up almost penniless and went back to their home country. Not understanding, not realizing that there are challenges in every country that we have. Now, that same $250,000 in those countries might have been able to buy you a mansion, a bungalow, a nice house, a nice business, and all that. And maybe the roti, the risk, the sustenance might have been a little less than what it might have been, what your dreams or thoughts were here. But at least you'd have eaten well and fed yourself well and dressed well. And so what happens is the reality is something, and the image in the mind is something else. And so when we talk about migration, we talk about going from one place to a better place, never the other way around. We have some hopes and dreams. Now my question to the Mu'mineen is, Mawla Hussein makes an announcement that I'm doing hijrah. I am migrating from Medina to Nabi, from Medina Munawwara to where? Towards Kufa. Mawla, Medina was like Jannat on earth for at least the part of the Arabian Peninsula. Why do you want to go to a place that is unstable, whose people had let your father down, whose people had let your brother down, and there's no expectation what they will do to you, Mawla? But then the Imam reminds me, he says, I had made a promise to Rasulullah. I had told my grandfather कि मैं कुर्बानी देने को तैयार हो जाऊंगा अगर इस्लाम खतरे में आ गया, और आज इस्लाम खतरे में है पैगंबर उसी दौर में. So when Islam is in danger, Imam Hussain says, I will fulfill my promise to Rasulullah that I will give everything I have, including my life, for the sake of my grandfather's religion. For the sake of my that's why he wrote in the letter, I am not leaving Medina for any khilafat or worldly power. I'm not leaving Medina because I want this or I want that or I want a better life. This is why we migrate. He says, I'm leaving Medina because the Ummah has left Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi al Munkar. They have changed my grandfather's religion, and as a result, I have to migrate from Medina. I have to shake the Ummah. The Prophet's message is what we have to see what Imam wanted to stand for. What was happening? What was so different in the time of Imam Hussein that had changed the religion from the religion of Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam to the religion of Sufyani? I mean, it seemed like everything was good. If you read some of the non-Muslim writers, Karen Armstrong is one of those writers who she has written very good things about even the message of Islam, the message of Ahlul Bayt in some cases, but then the other side that she also writes it from the perspective of a non-Muslim. She's a non-Muslim and she's writing from the perspective of what they see things as. And one of the things that she implies is that the time of Muawiyah was politically stable. The Muslim world was very stable. People could go for a walk, nobody would harm you. People could do anything, nobody, as long as you were not a Shia, your life was very good. As long as you didn't talk about Islam publicly, your life was good. It was a stable government. This is what she's writing. And so the stability of the government is what they see. And this is one of the things that people were saying even before when I was talking to some of my Iraqi friends. And they were saying that, at least in the time of Saddam, we had power, we had electricity, we had this, we had that. It was okay to walk safely in the streets. Now we don't know if there's going to be a bomb, if there's going to be this, if there's going to be an explosion, if we will have power, if we will have water. We don't know. You see how people's mindsets change? Some of the Iranians are saying, yeah, but in the time of the Shah, Iran was like paradise. You could go to a beach and you could wear a bikini and you didn't have to worry about anything. This was life. This was paradise. You see what people's thoughts are. This was exactly what was happening in the time of Banu Umayyah. This was exactly what was happening in the time of Banu Umayyah, the time of Rasulullah, after Rasulullah, in the time of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam. It started from the time of the Shahadat of Mawla Ali alayhi salam, continued to Imam Hassan, and reached a pinnacle. You see, the pinnacle was in the time of Abu Abdullah, that's why the Imam had to take the stand he did. In the time of Imam Hassan, the time of Amirul Mu'mineen, there was a certain cover-up that Muawiyah was famous for, or I could say infamous for. We don't want to use the word famous, right? We don't want to be positive to Muawiyah. That's what these other writers are doing. That's what the Orientalists are doing. So they let them write positive about Muawiyah and the Banu Umayyah. We know what the reality is, because they are all in one level. When we do those curses in the ziyarat of Ashura and the Lanat al-Banu Sufyan and Banu Umayyah and Banu Al Marwan and Al Ziyad and Al and Umar Asad and all that. We have Al Saud in that as well, right? We include Al Saud in that as well. I mean, today. Because they were not there then, but they are the same lineage of the Abu Sufyan and the Abu Ibn Ziyad and Ibn Marwan and Ibn Marjan. Same line. Their ideology is, they are trying to create a Jannah on earth, even if it means violating the rules of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali
Imagine what Zamana the Prophet came into and how he changed it. And then you'll see what Imam Hussein alayhi salam Mawla had to do in his time as well. The people were in that era of Jahiliyyah. The Jahiliyyah era, the age of ignorance, was so severe that they used to do the tawaf of the Kaaba, which was the holiest place even for the atheists at the time, even for the mushrikeen, it was a sacred place. They would do the tawaf naked, without any clothes on. That's how they used to do tawaf. Now to take that community and to put hijab on them, what a jihad that was. To put a hijab on a community that was doing tawaf like this is nothing short of a miracle. And then to create an environment whereby they had 360 gods, and that's what they were, priding themselves on. Okay, we've got gods everywhere, we've got gods in this, and they would take taxes from people, from the caravans that would go through the Arabian Peninsula. You've heard of the Silk Road? The Silk Route. Huh? Okay, so all these things will go from here, they would come from the eastern areas, go through the Arabian Peninsula, go to the west and go to what was the New World or the European world, and then to the northern parts of Africa and all that. And in that process, they had to do some way of getting these taxes and to benefit from them. So what did these Arabs do in that area, in that era? They would put taxes and they say, if you don't pay this, our gods will attack you. And they would have these ambushes, and they would have all these spies and people that would ambush them and say, if you don't pay up, you will be held for ransom, you will be killed, your safety cannot be guaranteed. So they had created an environment of fear, an environment of insecurity, whereby they were making themselves feel that they were making others feel that they were the only ones who could provide security and safety. We will let you pass through as long as the dollars are there. Dirhams, dinars, gold coins, whatever. Dollars came about today, didn't it? So you can imagine for a moment what they were doing, what psychological games they were playing. We call it an era of Jahiliyyah, of ignorance. But in actuality, the upper class, the cream of the crop, they were not Jahil. They were very intelligent, but in a slight, devious way. Just like Muawiyah, as these Orientals say, he was very clever, but it was in a slight, deceiving way. That is the problem. Imam Ali is mentioned in one of his letters to Muawiyah. He says, if Ali wanted to be a politician, I can be a better politician than Muawiyah. But Islam does not allow that. The laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala don't allow that. For us to be deceiving in politics is of two kinds. One is those sincere political leaders that are sincere, who care about their country. We rarely find, especially in places like Pakistan, somebody who is rich enough, he doesn't need to loot the country, who is giving his life, who is giving his genuine abilities for the sake of the country to bring the country to a higher level, as opposed to others who are there busy filling their pockets and filling their own bank accounts and filling their bungalows and mansions in Europe and in London. You need somebody who has got sincerity, who's got khulus. That's one of the things that we lack in many of the countries, especially in the African countries as well. That somebody who is willing to serve with khulus, with sincerity, with integrity, who cares about the people. This is what was happening in the time of Jahiliyyah. Those upper class people, those Abus, the Abu Jahl, Abu Lahab, Abu Sufyan, these people were not stupid people. They were not dumb people. They were not Jahil people. They were intelligent people, but in the wrong way. They're intellectuals, but intellectuals in the cunning, deceiving, conniving way. How to make money. You see, there's halal ways of making money, and then you use these gods. They used to narrate at the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They used to have different sculptors who would make different gods, similar to some of the places that they made. जो खुदाई बनाते हैं, ऐसे खुदाई बनाते हैं. कुछ खुदाई दरख्त के थे, some were wood, some were concrete, would be sand, this and that, and some of them would be made from dates. They used to make some gods from dates. And there was a narration just prior to the advent of Rasulullah, where this one sculptor was making his god out of dates, and the whole day he was spending on that, and then finally got hungry. भूख लगी थी तो इधर देखा उधर देखा, कोई नजर नहीं आ रहा है, खा लिया. So you're eating your god because nobody is watching. Salawat ala Muhammad. Sometimes the thought process of people are very, very surprising, shocking in some ways. At the time the time of Hazrat Yusuf, when Zuleika finally managed to corner him in the house, in the room, and she cornered him in the room, and the Quran Majid narrates various episodes of in Surah Al-Yusuf. And at that time, she had locked the doors and everything. She had already told Hazrat Yusuf, فَغَلَّقَتِ الْأَبْوَابِ. The Quran Majid mentions this. She had locked the doors and everything. And then she's about to do something to Hazrat Yusuf, but she takes her abaya and puts it on the god that she used to worship. She put it on top of him. Hazrat Yusuf says, what have you done? What are you doing? She says, I don't want my God to see what I'm about to do. मैं जो करने चाहती हूँ मैं नहीं चाहती हूँ कि मेरे खुदा देख ले. Hazrat Yusuf replies, he says, your God can be covered with this parda. My God is everywhere. He sees everything. Salat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Inna Allah ala kulli shayin qadir. Muhammad wa ajil. He says, your God can be covered like this. My God sees everything everywhere without parda being able to cover, curtain being able to cover him. That's why we say, Allahu la ilaha illa huwa al-hayyul qayyum la ta'khudhuhu sinatun wala. No, he doesn't sleep even for an iota of a second. He does not rest even for a second. Forget about a minute. Minute to bahut der hai. Anything can happen in a minute. So this is the message of Rasul at the time of Rasulullah. People were doing all of this, and then the Prophet comes and says, no, you have to give honesty. You have to worship one God. You know, at the beginning, they didn't really understand what Rasulullah was saying. They tried to negotiate with him. They tried to negotiate with Rasulullah. You know, mashallah, all of you are living in Windsor area, or have been here for a while, right? Windsor is known for the car plants and the unions that you have here. That's why you guys always elect, mashallah, a left-leaning member of parliament or member of provincial parliament. Many of them, they are very good people. I deal with them on a regular basis. And the thing is that you know what it means to negotiate. You want to get the best deal. You know, somebody once wrote in one of these magazines in Canada, he says, you know, Canadians are willing to do an honest day's work. Canadians are willing to do an honest day's work. The problem is they want a week's pay for it. Salawat al-Muhammad. So Islam comes with a message saying that you have to have honesty and integrity. You have to take your haqq and you have to give the haqq to those to whom it belongs. So they tried to negotiate with Rasulullah. They said, look, we have no problem with this Allah that you're talking about. We have no problem. We've already got 360 in the Kaaba, in that masjid area, that place. You put your Allah there, we'll make it 361. You're happy and we're happy. And negotiations will say, those who are in mediation and arbitration, they'll say, okay, this sounds like a good deal. Okay, you're happy, we're happy, you believe in Allah, we believe in our God, and nobody has to move anything, nobody has to change anything. The ayat comes down, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Kul ya ayyuhal kafirun, la a'budu ma ta'budun, wa la antum a'buduna ma a'budu, wa la ana a'budu ma a'budtu, wa la antum a'buduna ma a'budu. Lakum dinukum. The ayat came out very harsh. He said, when it comes to these issues of usul, when it comes to the principles of Islam, when it comes to the foundation of Islam, when it comes to the aqidah of Islam, when it comes to that tawheed, there is no negotiation, there is no manipulation, there is no arbitration. You believe as it needs to be believed. There is no room for compromise there. The belief system in Islam, the foundations cannot be. You see, every prophet came with an interesting message. What was the kalama at the time of Hazrat Isa? What was the kalama at the time of Nabi Allah Musa or Ibrahim? It would have been Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ibrahim Khalilullah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Musa Kalimullah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Isa Ruhullah. That was the kalama. Then the final kalama is Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa. So the furu went through certain developments, but the usul remained the same. And so the Prophet's message was a very important message for human history at the time. People were cheating, the Prophet was known as Sadiq. One who returned trust. People used to lie, the Prophet was known as Sadiq, the truthful one. People used to abuse each other, the Prophet was known as Khuluqin Azeem. Allahu Akbar. And you can see for a moment that all of these titles that the Prophet has represented something very unique, something very special, and something that characterized the quality of the Holy Prophet, which is the part of Islam. Because the Prophet was the representative of Islam. He was Islam. The Prophet was Islam. I often have youngsters sometimes telling me things, having a discussion. And they say that, yeah, but we don't understand something. I said, what? He says, today we are only allowed to have 4 wives, but the Prophet had 11 wives. Why is that? We have to do this, and the Prophet was allowed to do that. I said, okay. Let me ask you something. In today's world, the dunya that we live in today, if I'm speeding on the 401, I'm heading back to Kitchener, and I'm in a hurry because I really want to get home back fast. I'm late for an appointment, or when I was coming here, I was, zipping at 120, 110. Now nowadays, you guys have we increased the speed limit to 110, I think, in some place, which is so many. And all of a sudden, the officer is now going to come, the OPP, because the OPP are the only ones who are allowed to catch me on the highway. You know that, right? There's some legalities and technicalities. Windsor police cannot catch me on the big highways. Okay, that's a different issue altogether. But the officer needs to catch me. I'm going 120 or 130 or 140. I don't do this, but inshallah. Inshallah. But if I'm going 140, the officer wants to catch me. Now, how fast does he have to go in order to catch me, to get me a ticket when I'm going 140? Because and the youngsters used to always tell me, I'm talking about university students. वो लोग बात करते थे कि he's going 140, he has to catch you. I said, no, if I'm going 140, he's going 140, there will always be equidistant between us. He'll never be able to catch me. He has to go 150 to catch me at 140. Now my question is, who's going to give him a ticket for going 150? Sallallahu Muhammad wa आप समझ रहे हैं माशाल्लाह जज़ाकल्लाह मैं सोचा शायद आप लोग थके हुए होंगे लेकिन माशाल्लाह That means that he has to go fast, because in order to implement the law, he has to be higher than the law, only for the time that he's putting the law into effect. That is the same case with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah Ta'ala gave him the ability to go above the law in order to show us what the law is going to be. लोग ये सवाल नहीं करते कि why is Rasulullah wajib on him to recite 51 rakats a day, but they'll say, why did Rasulullah get to do this and we can't do this? Nobody will say, okay, why does Rasulullah have to pray 51 rakats a day wajib and we only have to pray 17 rakats a day? We don't look at that. I always tell my youngsters, I said, kei log humse sawal ye karte, why is this haram? Why is this haram? Why is pork forbidden? Why is ham not allowed? Why is alcohol forbidden? Why can't I eat this? Why can't I have gelatin? Why can't I have glycerin? And they will always ask these questions. I have never had a youngster come to me, Sheikh Shafiq, why is apple juice halal? Why is orange juice okay? Why is it alright to eat, this bread or that flour and this shawarma if it's halal? They won't ask that. Why is this haram? 1,000 things will be halal. One thing will be haram. Mola, why is this haram? Why are fish that are without scales haram? Baba, there's a reason for it. Now, I wish if I had the time to go into the reasoning, it's a different discussion, but that way we can talk about it. But the rationale is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what the reasoning is and why He gave the Rasulullah the power and the abilities and the responsibilities He did. Look at the Quran al-Majid. Look at how those who have studied Quran al-Majid will find something very beautiful. Hazrat Adam is mentioned numerous times in the Quran al-Majid. Hazrat Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam is mentioned numerous times in the Quran al-Majid. Hazrat Ibrahim and Musa are mentioned frequently throughout the Quran al-Majid. How many times is Rasulullah mentioned in the Quran by name? Now, I usually have a habit of testing. Sheikh, the Majma, they know me. I always do tests. Sadly, because tomorrow is, it's not a working day, but some of you may have to go to work, so I'm going to cut it short. I usually do a little quiz to see how my own general knowledge of the Quran is. I'll tell you what, it's less than 5, more than 1. The name Muhammad mentioned in the Quran al-Majid. Between 1 and 5. The actual amount is 4 plus Suratul Muhammad makes it 5. I'll just double check, but I think, inshallah, I will double check that. Thank you. Jazakallah khair. Maximum 4 times in the recitation, and then Surah Al-Muhammad makes it 5. Yani the Quran was given to Rasulullah. It was the whole situation surrounding Rasulullah, and yet his name is only mentioned 4 times. Ya Allah, I don't understand. I only understood this when I was in my travels sometimes, and I stay at people's houses. May Allah bless you and your family, Sayyid Abraham, for always hosting me whenever I come here to Windsor. If his daughters were home, and if Bobby was home whenever I was there, I would think his name is Baba. What do the daughters call you? Papa? Baba? I don't know.
Yeah.
I've gone to people's houses. For a whole day I stayed there. I thought the man's name was Sunoto. Sunieja. Because the wife always used to say, Suno! Suniye! Some wives say other things, but I don't have time. I'm not allowed to go. Salawat ala Muhammad wa उधर से भी पत्थर आने लगेंगे जरा एहतियात से मुझे चलना पड़ेगा. I have to be careful here. Mashallah, we have more ladies than we have gents, so you guys will not be able to defend me. I know that much. Okay. Anyway, so you will see that nobody will go and say, Ibrahim, the children will not call him that. The wife will not call him that. They will say, Suno, Aga, Baba, Papa. They will say these terms which are known as terms of respect and reverence. Because that we understand that he is the head of the household, he is the leader of the household, and as a result we have been taught that we have to respect whoever is in the household, because that's a part of our etiquette, that's a part of our akhlaq. So we know what respect is, we don't take the name. Now I understand the sunnah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Muhammad was the most beloved prophet of Allah. Muhammad was the most beloved messenger of Allah. He is Taha Sirajul Munir. You heard just now in the recitation in the Mankabat. He is Taha wa Sirajul Munir. He's Muzammil Muddassir. Allah Ta'ala is telling the whole world that in the Quran we are respecting Muhammad. We will not take his name, we will take his titles, so that you understand that when you do respect to Rasulullah, you have to do his ihtaram as well, his respect. Salawat. Ya ayyuha Rasul, Ya ayyuha Nabi, Sirajul Munir, Taha, Muzammil, Muddassir, all these beautiful, beautiful titles of the Holy Prophet used, so that Allah is saying even we in the heavens are respecting Rasulullah. Who are you to say that he is your yar? तुम कौन हो ये कहने के लिए हमारा यार है, हमारा दोस्त है, हमारा बड़ा भाई है? Allahu Akbar. You have not realized they used an ayat of the Quran whereby Allah Ta'ala says, Qala Rasulullah, they quote Rasulullah, Ana basharun mithlukum. I am a mortal just like you. The sad thing was people took this on the wrong level. They took it to the wrong level. Ana basharun mithlukum means, those of you who know Arabic, Sheikh, this is easy, but for me and for my team here, Ana basharun, I am a mortal like you. The Prophet brought himself, say, I am a mortal, mein basharun aap ki tarah. Allahu Akbar. Keep some attention on this. You've seen, do any of you have grandchildren? नमाज से या पोते हैं, है ना? आप जब बात करते हो 6 महीने, 7 महीने, 8 महीने, 1-year-old child, your grandchild, that's what I'm saying, grandchild, not your children. Children, this may not always apply, but you tell grandchild. I have seen bapas, nanas and dadas. They are talking like completely insane. These might be doctorates and master's holders and bachelor's holders. They are intellectual engineers and accountants and architects. And they're like a child. Hey, Mama, kya ho gaya hai? You are an accountant. You are an engineer. Talk to him about y equals mx plus b. Shafiq bhai, tum to pagal ho gaye, humko pagal mat banana. This child will not understand. Yani Nana and Dada have to come and bring their level down. Nani and Daddy have to bring their level down so they can talk to the child. They cannot take the child to their level. Ana basharun mithlukum. मैं तुम जैसा बशर हूँ, तुम मुझसे से नहीं हो. I am like you, but you are not like me. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. There's a respect. between Rasulullah and the Ummah.
बेशक
What did they say? Oh, you are our big brother. आप तो हमारे भाई हो, आप तो हमारे यार हो. You are this, you are that. No, no, no. You didn't understand. You know, today we have lots of challenges. Parents are adopting a new parenting strategy. The strategy they're adopting is, I want to be a friend to my child. I want to be a friend so he can be free with me, he can talk to me and all that. Be careful. I'm not saying don't be a friend to your child, but don't become over free that that level of respect is diminished. Keep that in mind as well. Is respect, ehtaram, izzat apni jagah pe. Friendship apni jagah pe. You want to be close to your child, make yourself close to your child, no doubt. But be careful how you define the laws, rules, and the hudud, the limitations of friendship. This is a very serious mistake many parents are making today. They're becoming so close to their children in the wrong way that now the respect level is diminishing and they are saying things and they're talking to their parents the way they would be talking to their friends. Hey, shut up! I've heard this with my own ears. Parents and children telling their parents. Allahu Akbar. So you can see for a moment, Allah Ta'ala is reminding us, Rasulullah is Rasulullah, Ummah is the Ummah. Ashab are the Ashab, Rasul is Rasul. There's no ifs, buts, or ands. There's no gray. It's a very clear, defined policy. The Prophet came to change the Ummah, to bring about the realization of what is the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is what Imam Hussein was facing. The laws of Allah were changing. The laws that Rasulullah brought from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala were being diluted. And the Imam had to now shake the Ummah and awaken them. Because in Banu Umayyah's time, like I said, stability, everybody was okay, people were able to make their mortgage payments, people were able to make their lives happy, everything was okay. But something was deeply wrong. And the Imam is the one who saw that this is what's happening. People are leaving Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi al Munkar. Think, my dear sisters and brothers, today we are facing very similar challenges. Halal is becoming haram, haram is becoming halal. The LGBTQ movement is becoming so armed, so regular, that now we don't even really worry about it. We don't care about it. Okay, whatever they want to teach our children, we trust the teachers to teach our children. Whatever they want to tell them about pronoun, gender identity, no problem, it's okay. We have become apathetic to it. How can we fight? What can we do? We are facing a power, we are facing this big lobby, we are facing this huge empire in front of us. Was Molana Hussein not facing an empire? Did Rasulullah not face a very strong lobby and power group in front of him? Why are we scared? If we are fulfilling the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, why are we afraid? Of whom are we afraid? That is the question. Why are we not able to speak? Oh, we might have to go to jail. We might get called a racist. We might be called prejudiced. And even people on the mimbar become scared to talk about these issues. Oh, we're not sure if you will invite me again or not. It's okay. It doesn't matter whether we get invited or not. It doesn't matter whether the government tries to shut us down or not. Haq is haq, batil is batil. I mentioned that yesterday. Imam Hussein's message was that, one line summary. Haq is haq, batil is batil. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala. And for that reason, Rasulullah suffered so much. He himself has been quoted as saying, what I have suffered, no other Nabi before me, no other Rasul has suffered. Allahu Akbar. The Prophet, look at the beginning of the message. Did the Prophet take out a sword and say, okay, I'm going to kill anybody who doesn't believe in my message? He just says, Qulu la ilaha illallah tuflihu. Say la ilaha illallah, you will succeed. The attacks began, the attacks came. I will inshallah continue that negotiation part in tomorrow's discussion, inshallah. Everybody started attacking the main people in that Arabian Peninsula in Makkah and Mukarramah. Attacking Rasulullah, putting so much torture on him. They put sanctions on him. They refused to trade with him. They refused to give their children to anybody who followed Rasulullah in marriage. They would not accept anybody's children from Rasulullah's group, whoever wanted to marry. And the Prophet had to withstand all that. Imagine for a moment, Rasulullah had suffered such atrocities that he himself is saying that no other Nabi, what Hazrat Nuh went through was nothing compared to what Rasulullah. What Hazrat Ibrahim suffered was nothing compared to what Rasulullah went through. What Hazrat Musa went through was nothing compared to what Rasulullah went through. It was for that reason that what tears Hazrat Fatima Zahra Salamullahi alayha shed at the time of Shahadat Rasul, at the time of Wafat Rasul. There are many theories about how the Prophet died. But even at the time of his Shahadat or Wafat, even in those critical moments, the Ummah did not leave him alone. Even those who claim to be his friends and claim to be near and dear to him, the Prophet asks for one thing, a paper and a pen, and they tell the Prophet, your mind is going. You are hallucinating. Eventually the Prophet heard that there was a commotion. Some were saying, give it to the Prophet. Some were saying, don't give it. And so the Prophet told all of them, just all of you leave, all of you get out. And he stayed only with Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib. He is imparting now the knowledge to the Imam. The Imam has got tears in his eyes. Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib is crying. Allahu Akbar. Fatima Zahra alayha salam's tears are not able to be controlled. I will say, Ya Fatima, Ya Zahra, why are you crying? And she will say that not only was the father of Rasulullah my father, he was also Rasul of the Ummah. He was a Rasul of the Yatama. He was there to care for all those for whom there was nobody to care. The akhlaq of Rasulullah was such that even those who were orphans never felt that they were orphans, because the love of Rasulullah was there. After his shahadat, after his wafat, Hazrat Zahra established that mourning ceremony. Imam Ali kept a place called Baitul Huzn. Every day Hazrat Zahra would go to Baitul Huzn, the house of calamities, the house of mourning, and she would say, Ya Rasulullah, you have left us, you are our carer, you are our protector. After you, the Ummah has changed, turned away. Ya Rasulullah, after you, the Ummah has left your message and has forgotten what you had said about Ahlul Bayt. Ya Rasulullah. سيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Oh Allah, accept this ibadah from us. For the sake of Rasulullah, forgive our sins and give us the tawfiq to remain away from sins, and inshallah to act on the teachings of the Quran and Majid and the Ahlul Bayt. Rabbana taqabbal minna innaka antas samiul alim. Matum Hussain.
Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein.
गम खा के आए सजाद ती जवानी इहो 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 गम खा के आए रुलियां ने विच बाजारा रुलियां ने विच बाजारा क्यों आए ता कुरानी इहो गम खा के आए सजाद ती जवानी इहो गम खा के आए सजाद ती जवानी इहो गम खा के आए सजाद ती जवानी माँ औरती पुकारे तेरे जो कोई मुश्किल से कोई कर दे सैयदा के मेहरबानी इहो गम खा के आए सजादती जवानी इहो गम खा के आए सजादती जवानी इहो गम खा के आए सजादती जवानी असगर नू याद कर दी हर उजड़ी गोद मादी असगर नू याद कर दी हर उजड़ी गोद मादी उते कतल ते छा गई है उते कतल ते छा गई है कायनात ते हैरानी इहो गम खा गया सजादती जवानी इहो गम खा गया सजादती जवानी गल चूना लावे बाबा रो रो सकीना के गल चूना लावे बाबा रो रो सकीना के चन्नवीर मारते सी चन्नवीर मारते सी मैनू कैसती वैरानी इहो गम खा गया सजादती जवानी इहो गम खा गया सजादती जवानी सजादते जिगर नू गल चीर गई आ दिल सजादते जिगर नू गल चीर गई आ दिल तारीख ते विच आसी तारीख ते विच आसी दरबार दी कहानी इहो गम खा गया सजादती जवानी इहो गम खा गया सजादती जवानी इहो गम खा गया सजादती जवानी रस्सियां च हथ देखे कुबरा दे मेहंदी वाले रस्सियां च हथ देखे कुबरा दे मेहंदी वाले अखियां चो जारी होई अखियां चो जारी होई आँखों दी रवानी इहो गम खा गया सजादती जवानी इहो गम खा गया
या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन
या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन या हुसैन
आबाद हुई करबला उजड़ा मदीना बर्बाद हुई है आबाद हुई करबला उजड़ा मदीना बर्बाद हुई है ज़ैनब को आबाद हुई करबला उजड़ा मदीना बर्बाद हुई मैं एक दिन था इस शहर की करती थी मैं शाही और आज तबाही और आज तबाही बेगुसल पड़ा मोहर नबूवत का नगीना बर्बाद हुई है आबाद हुई करबला उजड़ा मदीना बर्बाद हुई کس لاش پہ رو کس چھوڑوں میں برادر لاشیں ہیں 72 لاشیں ہیں 72 حد یہ ہے کہ رونے کی اجازت بھی ملی نہ برباد ہوئی میں آباد ہوئی کربلا اجڑا مدینہ برباد ہوئی میں اصغر کا گلا بھائی کا سر سینہ اکبر سب کو رو چادر سب کو رو چادر اس دشت میں لوٹا گیا زینب کا خزینہ برباد ہوئی میں آباد ہوئی کربلا اجڑا مدینہ برباد ہوئی میں مائیں بنا پہچان سکی بچوں کے چہرے بکھرے ہوئے سہرے بکھرے ہوئے سہرے اے خون کے دریا میں غریبوں کا سفینہ برباد ہوئی میں آباد ہوئی کربلا اجڑا مدینہ برباد ہوئی میں ایک آگ ہے خیموں میں قیامت کا سما ہے غازی تو کہاں ہے غازی تو کہاں ہے دیکھو تو ردا چھین گیا شمر کمینہ برباد ہوئی میں آباد ہوئی کربلا اجڑا مدینہ برباد ہوئی میں یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین مولا حق امام یا حسن یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین مولا حق امام یا حسن یا حسین یا حسین آ گئی بنت علی میرے ہاتھ بندھے میرے بازاروں میں آ گئی بنت علی میرے ہاتھ بندھے میرے بازاروں میں آ گئی بنت علی میرے ہاتھ بندھے میرے بازاروں میں جس نے سورج نہ کبھی دیکھا تھا رو رہی ہے وہ گناہ گاروں میں آ گئی بنت علی میرے ہاتھ بندھے میرے بازاروں میں آ گئی بنت علی میرے ہاتھ بندھے میرے بازاروں میں آ گئی بنت علی میرے ہاتھ بندھے میرے بازاروں میں آ گئی بنت علی میرے ہاتھ بندھے میرے بازاروں میں کون جانے کہ ہے یہ کون رسن پہنے ہوئے تیری داروں دی ہے سجاد کے پیچھے چھپ کے زندگیاں ڈوبی ہیں اس بیوی کی ہائے زنجیروں کی چھنکاروں میں آ گئی بنت علی میرے ہاتھ بندھے میرے بازاروں میں آ
گئی بنت علی تیرے ہاتھ بندھے ہر بازاروں میں کون جانے کہ ہے یہ کون رسن پہنے ہوئے تیری داروتی ہے سجاد کے پیچھے چھپ کے جس کی ڈوبی ہیں اس بیوی کی آئے زنجیروں کی چھنکاروں میں آ گئی بنت علی تیرے ہاتھ بندھے ہر بازاروں میں آ گئی بنت علی تیرے ہاتھ بندھے ہر بازاروں میں ہائے زہرا تیری قسمت نہ ملا حق تجھ کو ایسی تعظیم تیری کی ہے مسلمانوں نے تیرا حق مانگنے آئی زینب ایک مینوش کے درباروں میں آ گئی بنت علی تیرے ہاتھ بندھے ہر بازاروں میں آ گئی بنت علی تیرے ہاتھ بندھے ہر بازاروں میں کہاں زینب اور کہاں شام میں لوگوں کا ہجوم سر پر رہنا اونچی آواز میں خطبے پڑھنا ذکر مرسل کا حوالہ دے کر چادر مانگنا بدکاروں میں آ گئی بنت علی تیرے ہاتھ بندھے ہر بازاروں میں آ گئی بنت علی تیرے ہاتھ بندھے ہر بازاروں میں جس جگہ مجلس شفیع ہو برپا اختر چھوڑ کر بقیہ وہاں روتی ہے زہرا آ کر پال پولے ہوئے سر پیٹتی ہے اپنے پیاروں کے عزاداروں میں آ گئی بنت علی تیرے ہاتھ بندھے ہر بازاروں میں مولا حق امام یا حسن یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین وہ عابد بیمار تھا وہ عابد بیمار تھا جنت سے وہ لاچار تھا جنت سے وہ لاچار تھا اور شام کا بازار تھا اور شام کا بازار تھا اور مصطفیٰ کی بیٹیاں مولا امام یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد متوجہ زیادہ
السلام علیکم یا ابا عبداللہ السلام علیکم یا ابن رسول اللہ السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ السلام علیکم یا ابا عبداللہ وعلى الأرواح التي هلت بفنائك عليكم مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولجعله الله آخر أحد مني لزيارتكم السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين خصوص سيدي مولا فضل العباس الأمدار عليه السلام
السلام عليك يا صاحب العصر والزمان، الامان 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 من فتنة الزمان. السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن، السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان، السلام عليك يا مظهر الإيمان، السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن، السلام عليك يا قاتل برهان، السلام عليك يا إمام زماننا هذا، عجل الله تعالى فرجه وسهل الله تعالى مخرجه وظهور واجعلني وانصارك ورحمة الله وبركاته.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.